Good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome along. I hope you're all right and you're having a really good weekend. I have got customers in the shop. They've just arrived, so I am going to have to go down and serve them, I'm afraid. I won't be very long. Apologies for that. It's going to be one of those days today because of Armed Forces Day in the town. It's very busy and I'm on my own. Good morning, Suzanne. Good morning, Jean. I will just quickly leave that there. I'll be back in a second. Right, they're happy browsing, so I can chat to you a little bit. Good morning, Janet. So I've got the template all done. This lovely little Irish scene. Now the colours we're using today aren't my normal, well, they're my normal colours, I guess, but not in the same combination. I'd never normally do cerulean blue and lemon yellow, and I will explain why shortly. I mean, where not all of you will be able to comment unless you've got a YouTube account. But thanks for you those that do, so I can have people to talk to. So I'm working on A4. The outline has been on the website since yesterday, I think, and yesterday afternoon on the shop's Facebook page, and all the colour listings. If you are painting along, so we'll be painting until about 1:45. Might finish earlier, might finish later. You never really know, do you, with these classes? So I hope you're all right. Now, I don't know if the Barry cam will work. Yes, hello. Good morning. Lovely to see you, even though I can't see you, but you can see me. I've got my Geppetto glasses on this morning. I've had to fix them with a staple and wrap it round because the screw fell out and I can't find it on the grey carpet. Hello, Sarah. Nice for you to join us. Welcome along. So I've got my 3 brushes that I'll be using throughout, and the colours that we're going to use are cerulean blue, lemon yellow, cadmium red, Payne's grey and burnt sienna. That's the order I've got them on my tile. They're slightly different on the screen, but that's what they are, because the burnt sienna looks quite dark on my tile, but it isn't. It's burnt sienna's right at the end. The camera's fine. Val, it's you that's out of focus, I'm afraid. Well, not you, your computer. I've got excellent connection here, and I'm actually watching it back on my own screens, and I'm not out of focus at all. So it may well be your internet, because this weird weather we're having at the moment is throwing out a lot of problems with streaming and technology and all of that kind of stuff. But it's lovely to have you all with me this morning. I don't know, have I ignored anybody yet? That's Suzanne, Jean, Janet, Sarah and Val. No, I think I've said everybody. Hello. So I don't want to waste too long to sketch it out. There is only the campervan really that's the important bit. So we've got all these big mountains and a little bit of sky. So in terms of your paint, your cerulean blue is a green based blue. Lemon yellow is a green based yellow. And as I say, I wouldn't normally have those two together, but I wanted to keep a restricted palette, because a green based yellow and a green based blue give you really, really vibrant greens, which we'll possibly need to dull down a bit. We've got cadmium red, which is an orange based red, burnt sienna, which is a dark orange brown, and Payne's grey, which is a blue black. In fact, Payne's grey is made from ultramarine and Mars black. So that's why some Payne's greys can be quite blue and almost like indigo. So those are our colours. I have my 3 brushes, my pointed squirrel wash brush, my number 4 round, and my number 1 detail brush. They're available to buy as a set from our website. So thank you very much for joining me. It's lovely to have your company. And we'll start painting in a second. Let me get off my ugly mug and get back onto the main screen for you. As I say, if you're just joining, I do have people browsing in the shop, and I am on my own. So should anybody need serving, I've got to go and serve. It's kind of my job, innit? Really. But I know you don't mind, especially in a paint-along, because it gives you a chance to catch up. So I'm just going to soak my squirrel a little bit. Although we're not going to... There's lots of different ways we could paint this, because we want quite a bit of texture in the mountains. That coming down. And then we've got this little bit of foreground, and then this tiny little bit. Now, I might use a biro lid for some of that. And it pays the bill. Well, a free one doesn't pay the bills, Janet. But the shop pays the bills, but the free lesson doesn't pay the bills. Unless you'd like to, moving seemingly into, you could bung us a couple of quid on paypal.me/thearteryartshop if you wish, if you have a PayPal account. Or you can go onto my Ko-fi account and buy me a coffee for £3 if you appreciate what we do. Right. Tiny bit of sky, and it's kind of, I think we want a bit of a dull day, so if we go with cadmium red and cerulean blue. Now I squeeze these out before the Armed Forces Day Parade, so they've gone a little bit hard, but that's okay. So I want cerulean blue, tiny bit of cadmium red will not give me a bright purple, and I'll explain that. Jean, I will look forward to you spending a fortune when you come to see me in August. So, because cerulean blue is green-based and cadmium red is orange-based, there's no purple really in it. And that means that even though you've got a bright blue and a red blue, it doesn't give us a bright purple because there isn't really much purple in the mix that is visible. There is some purple in there, but it's... way down the pecking order of what our eyes can make out. So we're going in with a bit of just a blue-grey. The other nice thing about cadmium red and cerulean is they granulate even in student quality, which means they pull apart. Blustery, it is blustery, isn't it, Trish? Good morning to you from Duns Chew. I put the big flag out for Armed Forces Day hanging out of the window, and it's been blowing all over the place, it has. Now don't forget, watercolours dry 30% lighter. Can't be a lesson without me telling you this. An artery shop trolley dash. I need to get a trolley if you do. Let me know. You might have to bring your own trolley. And you won't get... the trouble is, you've been in the shop, Janet. You know how small it is. It's hardly a trolley dash size, so you'll probably just have to have big pockets. And then... we'll empty your pockets at the end. Do you want to be timed? Because we could do that. See how much you can fill your pockets in a small amount of time. I'm going to leave the campervan until later. Do you know what, actually? While I've got this sort of purple grey, I'm going to paint the road. I've got a little bit more red in the bottom mix. No, I was going to do 11 o'clock, and then when I realised the Armed Forces Day Parade comes right past the window, it wouldn't have been... No, just till the money runs out. Excellent, I like the sound of that. It wouldn't have been conducive to have a live stream while we've got marching bands and processions outside. So I was able to do a live stream through the Banbury Old Town Facebook page for people who used to live in Banbury that no longer do, or people that just can't make it into town in the morning to see the parade. So we did a live stream of that, and then I ran upstairs so I could teach you lot. So we've got more of a bluey red mix there and more of a reddy blue mix down there. We'll change it all as we go, but while it's there, we might as well. Good morning, Elizabeth. Well, I'm glad you're here now. You haven't missed anything, really. Did the link not work for you? Oh, thank you. It's very kind. Just going to have to touch up with a slightly smaller brush. There's a little bit there that didn't want to paint. I've got to remember I'm not doing a demo and I'm doing a class. So I can't whiz by today. But you know me, I'd love to really. So slap it on. So cerulean blue with a bit of cadmium red at the top. Cadmium red with a bit of cerulean blue at the bottom. I know we've got lots of people who are very busy today who aren't being able to join live, aren't able to join live, so they will join later on. So if you're watching later on catch up, hello, nice to see you, and thank you for joining in. We've got so much, while we're waiting for that bit to dry, July, oh bless you, thank you, that'd be nice, Elizabeth, thank you very much. It's all changed, you see, for July next week for us, because it's when our next booklet of classes begins. So the Monday evening class that was traditionally watercolours is water-based media. So the first Monday of each month is watercolour, the second Monday of each month is watercolour pencil, and the third Monday of each month is gouache. No, I've got it the wrong way around. The first Monday of each month is watercolour, the second Monday of each month is gouache, the third Monday of each month is watercolour pencil, and the fourth Monday evening of each month is pen and wash. And then if there's a fifth, it's free choice, really. So that's new. Our monthly Friday evening oil painting class is new for July, starting on the 1st, 7 till 9. It is also available online. And we've also got a Monday afternoon art club for all ages. Now, I do have a customer in the shop. They finished browsing, so we'll come back and we'll start with that. Be back in a second. Sorry about that. I'm back. So I will fill you in on the other stuff in a bit. Sing in the rain. Are you right? Is it raining where you are? It's now sunny where we are here. I will need to make a bright green to start with. Now, as I was saying, because lemon yellow is green based and cerulean is green based. Could well be quite punchy, this. Mushy pea green. But if you want to dull it down or knock it back, that's what it's... Knock it back is the arty watercolour term. Just add a pinhead of red. Too much red and it will go brown. But a little bit of red makes it a little bit more natural. You could use a bit of burnt sienna. And then I'm just going to shove, there's your technical term for the morning, cover the whole mountain and the foreground and through the window. A nice base wash, and then while that's drying I can fill you in on everything else that's going on in July. It doesn't really matter if we don't make up exactly the same amount or the right colour, because it's a painting, isn't it? We don't need it. We can get photographs if we want photographs, but as this is a painting, we'll slop it on. And then as it dries, I'll chat to you about the other stuff that we've got happening. Happening? Where am I from? Happening throughout July. You only want a tiny bit of red. If in doubt, don't put any in, because you'll be surprised how quickly it will go brown and how quickly you will frown and be annoyed. Oh, it's lovely to hear happy children outside. We've had a long time of just not many people out and about, so it's nice that people are feeling more comfortable shopping again. Right, it's all going to be textured, so I'm not worrying too much. And if there's white bits, not bothered about the white bits, are we? Right, looks awful at the moment, which is just what we want. So throughout the rest of this year, we are starting a Monday afternoon art club. We are constantly asked if we do children's classes, and we don't. We don't do children's classes because we share this building with several other businesses, and I'm a big believer in safeguarding, and we can't guarantee safeguarding or safety because it's a small room and it's a public place, and you know, all of this, so we don't run them. However, on Mondays 4 till 5 we will be doing an online only art club, which is following the national curriculum. Now if you haven't got kids or grandkids, that's not a problem, because it's still really useful information for any age and ability. So it's £3.50 per session, and 4 till 5 p.m, and it'll be live through our YouTube channel, our private YouTube channel, and it'll be looking at things like shapes and shading in pencil, painting simple trees in watercolour, a landscape using only primary colours in acrylics, watercolour pencils, paint like Monet using cool colours, making tints, how to darken and lighten colours, how to enlarge a drawing, wax resist. You know, there's lots of techniques in there that are useful for no matter what age, but they are loosely based around the national curriculum for art and design for Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. But everyone will benefit from that. So you can book online through our Shop Happy page for Monday afternoon art club. And they will be live, but you can also watch them on catch up. And if you are in the Banbury area on the 10th of July, we are taking part in the Town Mayor's Sunday in People's Park, which is the park that's just up the hill from where we are. It's on the edge of town, and we are doing 4 45-minute sessions, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, on painting trees. It will be in the public, and it's £10 a session, and we provide the materials in watercolours, but it'll be fun. Do 3 different techniques: a summer tree, a winter tree, and a fir tree, all in 45 minutes. Yeah, well, you see, this is it, Suzanne and Jean. The Monday Club is a really good thing. We've got all of them listed in our booklet, the new booklet, which you can tell is similar to the previous one, but the July to December one's got the writing around the circle, and we've got all our Monday Art Club there, but they are available as a download off as a PDF download off the website, and straight off Shop Appy, and you can pick and choose them all. But for £3.50 you could do all of them, couldn't you? So it's just a bit of everything, different media, different subject matter. You could look on it as a refresher if you know stuff, or as a really good beginner's level if you know nothing. I know nothing. Right, so now we want to start adding a bit of texture to this. I think this is dry. Let me just get the hairdryer on this. So we'll be doing texture bits. Now, in my head, the light is going to come from the left, because it's L and L, light from the left. So all my shadows and everything. So this crevice here, we could add it as a waterfall with a bit of gel pen or gouache afterwards, but not sure yet. Now, if we want to make a darker green, we can actually do that. Let me switch to my squirrel. We don't need as much water. Now, there are 2 ways you can make a dark green with what we've got. If we go with lemon yellow and Payne's grey, because we know Payne's grey has blue, it makes a nice deep green. But we can add a little bit of cerulean in there as well. I'm going to need more lemon yellow squeezed out, I think, aren't I? And I'm just going to pop down the bottom end of this and re-outline Now, I'm not dry brushing because I'm using a squirrel, and it's very tricky to dry brush with a squirrel. If you've ever tried, you'll know. So I'm just being very loose and free. How loose and free do you want to be this morning? This lovely Saturday. And I might see if I don't go too sloppy, I can almost dry brush with the squirrel. Actually, if we have these coming in that direction, see, as I'm losing the paint off my brush, I'm getting a little bit more dry brushish, and this colour is sort of muting down that really vibrant green. We'll do some more layers of this, of course. So you can probably hear how I'm just skimming the brush So even with the squirrel, once you've worked out how you can get your moisture, because that's the hardest thing with a squirrel, it's either too wet or too dry. So we've started off with this layer. We're going to do more down here. There's loads of stuff we've got to do, but we just need to get the backgrounds in. That's fine, Elizabeth. It's a bit of a lie and a misconception what dry brushing means. So if you think of, if you look at a cross section of watercolour paper, it's got dimples and it's bumpy. So when you have a wet brush with wet paint, it sloshes in and it fills all of the holes as well as painting the top surface. But with a partially dry brush or a damp brush, it can only fit over the top parts, so you get lovely textures. I have got a customer, so I'll be back in 1 second and I can show you a bit more about dry brush. Back in a sec. So yeah, the term dry brush is a bit misleading because it can't be dry. It has to be damp. If it's a really dry brush, if you think of it in a different way, when you get into the shower and you run the shower over your head that's dry, your hair's dry, the inside of your hair is still really dry, even though the outside is wet. So it doesn't really absorb much, but a damp brush will absorb more than a dry brush. So you don't want a wet brush and you don't want a damp brush. So it's a lot of watercolour terminology is a little bit misleading. So dry brush means a damp brush. So you if you have a test bit of paper, you can always just go over it. So you use the length of the brush on its side rather than the point. So with a round brush like this, instead of having it down, so you're painting with a point, you have it on its long edge and you stroke or bounce so it hits. We're going to be doing a bit more dry brush in a second. You're a hairdresser. Just squeezed out a bit more lemon. So we're going to go with a slightly darker green again. So we've got lemon yellow, Payne's grey, cerulean blue. Cerulean blue just makes it a bit more green. And you could, if you wished, add a tiny bit of burnt sienna. So we'll start sort of... This isn't very dry brush, this bit at the minute. This will be where my waterfall comes in with my gel pen. So you should be able to see it breaking across the surface. Now to me that's a little bit too dry a dry brush. But you'll be able to see the difference as I do this, in that if it fills in large areas, it's too wet. And if it gives you hit and miss, then it's just right. But unfortunately, because watercolours have their own agenda, whether you've been painting in watercolours for 10 minutes or 10 years, doesn't matter. Watercolours will still do what watercolours want to do. And if they don't want to do dry brush, then they're not going to do dry brush. Not mixing up enough paint today. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's lemon yellow and Payne's grey to go dark green, and then I'm adding a little bit of the cerulean to make it feel a little bit more green again. And you could add a little bit of Payne's burnt sienna if you want to. Excuse my sleeve as I'm leaning. How naughty am I? Leaning away. It's very cheery outside in the streets, isn't it? Gosh. Thankfully we're up here not having fun, and we'll counteract that. We're just building up the dark. Lemon yellow, Payne's grey, a little bit of blue, and you could add burnt sienna, but we'll do that a bit more later on. I think I'm going to have to do live streams more often, because honestly some Saturdays I can sit for 4 or 5 hours without seeing a soul, but as soon as I press live, everybody and the granny comes into the shop. Not that I'm moaning. I'm not moaning of having customers. I just like to have customers at times when I'm not as busy. Or you could always just hit the buy online button for me. That'd be nice. How was your Father's Day roast, Janet? I was thinking about it. I didn't have, tell Hannah I didn't have roast potatoes with my pork pie. I just wolfed the pork pie down instead. I inhaled it. So can you, if you can hear how scratchy it is, that's a bit too dry. I want it mildly scratchy. I'm being very fickle this morning. How many of you are watching? I've not even looked. Hang on a minute. I can't thank you all. 24 of you. How lovely of you. Giving up your Saturday morning to just listen to me waffle on and wave a paintbrush around. Pretending I can paint. I'm very grateful. If you want to spend some money, I'll be even more grateful. Right. Let's go. A little bit of texture. I'm trying to think of stones and bands of stone and all of that, but we'll make some stone colours shortly. Oh, rhubarb crumble. I haven't had any rhubarb this year. I did start growing some from seed last year, and they came up and then they got eaten, not by me, because I was trying to leave it for the first year. They got eaten by the wildlife in my garden. And sadly, nothing's grown at all this year. So I'm quite a bit sad about that, because I do like a bit of rhubarb. So we're trying to get layers, but the layers will come as we get darker. A few seams of stone. Well, that sounds also nice. Stuffing your face with chocolate sounds very good. Part of your one a day, isn't it? Chocolate. Especially dark chocolate. I tried a new chocolate the other day. I had to nip into little Tesco's in town, and I saw a new Cadbury one called Carrot Milk. And it's white chocolate with a caramel flavour. Rats eat rhubarb, as well as everything else. We had, because I live in the middle of nowhere, my neighbour's massive garden. I've got a tiny little yard that would make the gardens in Coronation Street look like Blenheim Palace. And next door's got a humongous garden, and they had a family of rats living there for a while, who used to enjoy raiding my garden. So rats like rhubarb. But they seem to have moved on, which I'm rather pleased about. Well, the chocolate is a plant, isn't it? I'm adding a bit more water to the green, this dark green, to make it a little bit more dilute and transparent, to give me a little bit of texture. Over this side. I've got to remember too that although this is a class, it does finish early. It's not a standard class for me. So I'm just skimming over a little bit through the back window there of the Campervan. If you like vintage roosing, no, sharing is not good with rats. I thought we could live in harmony, but they were too greedy. I fancied myself as a bit of a Dr. Dolittle, but unfortunately the rats had their own thing, and they lived next door. And as much as I was trying to put fences up and all sorts of stuff, they were just eating through it or climbing over them. They're beautiful, beautiful brown rats, though. They used to play in my garden. They'd live in next door and come over mine and have a play and eat. So can you see we're building up depth and texture? This is a massive mountainous area. They are when they're in somebody else's garden and they don't come into yours. They're lovely. But they were beautiful brown rats. But these, when I suspected there were rats visiting, I balanced my smartphone and stuck it on. Oh, what's it called when it takes a photograph every 3 seconds? That thing. And honestly, without the tail, they were that big. Huge beasts. Beautiful brown rats with the most gorgeous eyes. But yeah, I had to let next door know once my suspicions were confirmed. So you can see we've got texture now, but it's not very brownish. I might add a bit of burnt sienna to some of this now. Well, yeah, it was all my baby rhubarb, which was quite frustrating. It wasn't even grown up because it was from seed. I'm adding a little bit of brown dry brush, dilute brown dry brush, to this foreground, mid-ground. It's very, very subtle brown. I've diluted the colour. But still ensured it's a dry brush. Because I still want the green to show through, you see. But by making this mid-ground a little bit warmer and more browny, oh, chocolate brownie, it will bring this forward and push that back. We could use all sorts of devices to soften and push back. We really could. And we may well do, but I want this is quite bright and we want this to be quite dark. And then foreground, you'll need a biro lid. Right, let that dry for a second. What looks like grass with seed heads. Hello Anne, I've just seen your message. Borada, Shidiki. Dwi'n wedi blino heddiw. But I'm alrighter than that. Oh, the fly past has been cancelled today. There was it's about about 1 o'clock. I think there'd be a fly past. We were supposed to have a. Oh, what have we done recently then with the biro lid, Janet? I can't remember. I'm terrible, and I. Are you doing it along with me, Elizabeth? Because is dry brushing working for you? I'm just going to get my biro lid ready, even though we don't need it yet. Oh, do you know, we might do some fir trees. Just a few down here. Maybe. Later on. So we've been doing almost an hour. We've done half an hour so far. Have we? No. 45 minutes. We've done 45 minutes so far. So we'll need to be doing more dark textures here. Oh, well, you can't paint with a sewing machine, can you? I empathise. I've got lots of sewing machines that I never use. You may not be surprised, but I have two old-fashioned wooden cased We did. The sand dunes at Barmouth. I sent that off to my nephew, Janet, because I'd forgotten he got engaged on that very spot earlier this year. So I popped it in the post for him. Because I'm a bit of a softie. Only a little bit though, but don't tell everyone. They'll all think I'm nice. And I ain't. Right. Let's go with some stone colour, but I could go with just Payne's Grey, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Payne's Grey and Cadmium Red, which, when combined with a bit of cerulean, will give me a really interesting stone colour. Because Payne's Grey, you might find, is a bit too harsh. No, I'm not really, Elizabeth. You ask Jackie, who works for me. Although she has been here 9 years. Exactly, Janet. Don't ruin my reputation. I'm on the front of our local newspaper, scowling this week. Because of parking woes. So the darker we can come down here, you see. There's a little seam of rocks that I want to pop in. I will gel pen a bit of waterfall. Down that end. So I'm just letting my brush play around quite freely and funly. Is funly a word? Oh gosh, no, I wasn't that angry. It's just that they've started giving all of us shopkeepers tickets every time we pull up outside our shops to load. Because apparently we're not allowed to load and leave our car unattended now. Which is quite interesting when you work by yourself. And you only get 5 minutes. So I'm not quite sure how in theory it works, but well, it isn't working, that's why we're all getting I haven't had a ticket yet. But isn't that fun? Well, look at this now, it's looking a bit more rockish. Oh, don't, Janet, it's they've changed the rules that commercial vehicles get 10 minutes to offload, but they can't leave it unattended. Non-commercial vehicles, which we all are, because we just use cars. We haven't got vans and stuff. We're not big. We're not Amazon. You get 5 minutes. One retailer got a ticket for 6 minutes outside the shop. We saw yesterday an electrician who'd parked his van in the street to do work on one of the businesses, got a ticket. I mean, you need access to your van, but you're not going to leave it open, are you? It's ludicrous, the whole thing. I might get a bit of gouache out later. Whether that excites you or not, I don't know, but I do like a bit of gouache. It'll give me some nice textures to some of these rocks that I want to put on. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Where are you based, Elizabeth? I'm doing more downward strokes for these rocks. So if it's too dry and well, that's what we're doing, Jean. as soon as I found out about it and spoke to someone at the county council, not the district council, I went straight to the local press. Because, oh, Malvern Hills, how lovely. Never used to go to Malvern that much, but I used to go to Worcester a lot. And I did my courting in Hereford with where my wife lived at the time. Look at that now, we've got some nice texture coming in. I will definitely use some white gouache, because we're allowed, and I like to show you different ways of doing things, you see. There's a ley line that links Malvern Hills to Banbury Cross, the roundabout cross, and in September and March the sunlight lines the two together. There's an alignment. Bredon Hills, Malvern Hills, Banbury Cross. Thanks, Jean. You can come again. Is it looking rugged? Like me. A rugged mountain. I think when we've got a bit of gouache on these silver bits, the rocks. Just trying to create layers. I love layers, especially on a cake. Maybe, exactly right. Well, you see, there's a theory that Banbury is a derivation of Amesbury or Ambery, meaning amberstone. It's got links. Our town motto has and crest has the sun on it. But let me just see if I can find it while I want this to dry. I found an article, because I do a lot for Banbury Old Town Facebook page, and yeah, The Independent, Sunday the 12th of November 2000. On the summit of Bredon Hill in South Worcestershire stands a stone elephant known as the Banbury Stone, and it's on a ley or spirit path marking sunrise and sunset and equinoxes. Come down at dusk or dawn in late March or September and you'll witness the alignment with the British camp on the Malvern Hills to the west, and Saintbury Cross, Dover's Hill and Castle Hill just north of Brails Hill, and most significantly Banbury Cross in the east. So there's an alignment straight through with all of this. So the site of Banbury Cross, which is the roundabout, before it was a cross, in the Middle Ages, it was an important site for the ley lines with the sunshine and equinoxes. So there we go. There's a little bit of local history for you. It's clever, isn't it? Well, I stumbled upon that because I was trying to research how long the sun had been associated with Banbury, because it is on our town crest and motto, which was only done in the 50s. So I was really shocked to find that it was even much older than that, the idea of the sun and Banbury. So there we are. I'm not even from this area, but I do find the local history very interesting, because it's mentioned, Banbury's mentioned in Gulliver's Travels, in that Gulliver's family originally came from, obviously fictional, but Gulliver's Travels originally, the Gulliver family came from Banbury. That's in the prologue. And of course you've got fine lady upon the white horse, who we still don't really know who she was. Right, I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of white gouache. Oh, this little, indenty thing. What's that called? Oh, for goodness sake. Anyway, it keeps shooting off my rack. So I will excuse the rattling. It's not rain. The wind's just suddenly picked up, and all of the Union Jack bunting in the streets just gone berserk. Right, so I've got white, Payne's grey and cerulean blue on here. I'm just going to skim in places, because don't forget we said I want the light to come from the left. So this will dull down a fraction because it will go more matte and go darker. Technically this is mixed media now, but I don't care. Bit too dry. Let's add a tiny bit of moisture on my brush. Need to keep my eye on the time. We've only got half an hour left. So this may not be the best, most amazing-ish painting in the world, but I'll do what I can in the time that we have. Slightly lighter on this side. So actually, if I just use neat white, I don't want to forget this, you see. It's quite thick I'm doing it, so it breaks as it falls and right, we get in there. So it's building up. What I might do is just weirdly, and I know it might not make sense to you, but if I do cerulean blue and a bit of Payne's grey in a very, very dilute wash, I'm just going to put that wash over that background hill, which should, in essence, give me a little bit of pushback. So it feels a bit further away. Right, now I'm going to use the rocky texture with my number 4 round brush. Well, maybe it will help because it's a really useful way using a little bit of gouache on the top. You could use masking fluid and do your whole painting and then, you know, peel off the masking fluid and that should be fine. Just going to go a little, I know I haven't done the Campervan yet, but I'll do the bit of shadow underneath while I've got it with a bit more of this colour. Same colour as the darker stone. Might be a little bit darker along here because I'm going to put some grass. It's grass. Can you see how it's really starting to take shape? And I sound surprised, and I shouldn't because I know what I'm doing. That's what I want you to believe. Oh, I've got ginger tea and I forgot to drink it and it's gone ever so cold. Never mind. Right, I'm going to let you catch up for a minute. How are you finding this so far? Might just use slightly lighter grey in places, just we could equally go even darker. Everything's to do, it's all time related, isn't it? Everything's time. Do I have time to do this or that or the other? Do a few dark Payne's grey crags and cracks. There is never enough, never enough, never, never. That's why it's so important to make the most of what we've got. I heard a really interesting thing. I'm going to go a bit philosophical while I'm just fiddling with some Payne's grey. A man was talking to a group of people, and he said, if I gave you £1 million when you woke up in the morning, how would you feel? And they were like, I'd feel really happy, it'd be amazing. And he said, well, what if I give you £10 million when you wake up in the morning? How would you feel? And they went, oh, that would just be a dream come true. It would make so much difference to my life, and it would make me really happy. And then the chap said, okay then, what if I gave you £10 million, but you couldn't wake up the next morning, or any morning? And the people were like, oh, I don't know about that. I think I'd pass on the money, because, you know, I want to enjoy my life. And he said, so you're telling me that waking up in the morning is more valuable than £10 million to you? And if that's the case, why should you not embrace every day as an exciting adventure? And I thought how thought-provoking that was. Just doing a few little lines and bits on here. Still need a coffee, definitely. Well, I don't drink coffee. It makes me funny. I can't do coffee. Well, I can do Nescafe, but I, fancy coffees. It doesn't agree with me. Too much caffeine. I sound like a barrel of laughs, don't I, me? Right. Oh, Janet. Thanks. Right, so I've got light green here. This is where it gets scary. Scary. Because I'm going to shove a bit of grass on it. Oh, I said we'd do some fir trees, perhaps. Should we do a few fir trees? Let's do some fir trees. So I'm going to go with... yeah, you wouldn't want that. I need to remain calm. I'm better off when I'm in anxiety attack and I'm much more subdued and panicking. Right, so if I go with Payne's Grey, a little bit of lemon yellow and a little bit of cerulean blue. So it's almost black. That's going to be the colour for the trees. But for the grass on this side, I do want a darker green. So I'm going to use a similar colour to what we've got here, but I'll throw in a bit of brown. So lemon yellow, burnt sienna, cerulean blue, and a tiny bit of Payne's Grey. Right, now this doesn't need to be sloppy, and you only need to do little and often. So I am an advocate of the biro lid of Bic. A Bic biro lid, they are the best, and thank you to those that drop me off little bags of them every now and again, because I am really appreciative. You can use it for indenting and incising, and if you can see, it's got a little scoop, and it's the scoop that we want. So when I'm going to scratch through in a minute, I'm not going to just press the point down and up. I'm using it slightly on its edge, scoopy side up, and I'm scratching through it. I'll show you. Well, it might be a bit too dry. I'm going to do a few little bits of grass, because you can only do small amounts at a time. And then we move on, because it will dry. Right, so if I do that little bit there, scoopy side up, look at that, I've got grass. Oh, Elizabeth, you're very kind. Sadly, I know a lot of people that have similar experiences where they've had teachers that just gave them stuff and got on with it. Thankfully, I've been teaching now for 25 years this year, which is a bit scary because I still only feel 25. It is as important as any brush. You are correct, Janet. And I think me teaching in primary education was an amazing background and useful aid for teaching adults, because so many adult education teachers presume you already know it, or they only teach what they like doing. I actually do teach things that I hate, because it's not my job to determine what you like or don't like. So I try to teach everything, and I was saying this into class yesterday actually, that I'll try to give you a really broad spectrum of techniques, because not all techniques will work for everybody. So by giving you lots of different techniques, the hope is that some of them will work for you. Hopefully. It's clever, isn't it, this? Hopefully this will be enough for... If your paint's too runny, what will happen is it will fill in, but if it's too dry, it will dry too quickly and you can't get your thing in. Look at that. We've got grass. I'll do a little bit down here, right down the edge, but I don't want to do too much. Teaching is my life, and it is. And it's what I've actually spent my whole life doing. I've been teaching since I was sort of 17, so my whole career has been based around teaching art. So if I gave up teaching, I don't know what I'd be. I mean, some of the kids I've taught have got kids of their own now. Just doing a few darker lines. It's really, really good. It's best for grass, but you can use it for a whole variety of things. I'm going to do some trees, then the camper van, because we've got about 10-15 minutes left. Just go a little bit. Oh yeah, there's my tree colour. Using my thin brush. Now, fir trees, if you come into my painting hour, 45-minute painting lessons in the park in next month, you'll be doing a fir tree like this. So you do a line like that, and then you wiggle, and your wiggles get bigger. You wiggle and you dab. And then if you flick downwards at the bottom, it looks like you've got grass in front of the trees rather than just a straight line. We'll do a few. Maybe I'll do one a little bit taller on the lean. And you can get distance in this because you can just add more water to that colour and paint another tree and it'll be a little bit paler. Well, hopefully you'll find your paints, Elizabeth, and you'll be able to give it a go. The rest of you are very quiet this morning. Well, it's afternoon now, isn't it? Where's the day gone? So yeah, I'm doing a live stream sing on my my singing page tomorrow afternoon, 2 till 3. I am taking requests. So it's BoNortonSings.com. So if you like Rat Pack and Matt Monroe and all of that, I'll be singing those. You're concentrating. Well, that's good, Suzanne. I'm not. It shows, doesn't it? I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. Gig wise, I've only got lots of private gigs coming up, weddings and anniversaries and stuff. Far away. No, so nearly all. I think all of my public gigs have dried up for a bit, but that's usually the case. They do tend to favour the younger, more attractive singers nowadays, like the Michael Bublé impersonators or the pretty girls doing the Andrews sisters. Old beardy blokes don't get a look in anymore. Oh, it's so sad. I don't mind though. Right. No, it's feast or famine with my kind of stuff. Right. Let that dry a little bit more. Oh, do you know what? I could do a hint of waterfall just down there, so it feels like that. We're on the home stretch now. Got 10 minutes left, and that's going to be doing the little thingy, which is much easier than it looks. I've offered my services for Bloxham Steam Rally this evening because their singers got no voice, but they've not got back to me. But I don't know if I'll be able to get ready in time and then get there now. Right, while that's drying, I need cerulean blue, and I want a pure cerulean if I can, except mine's gone green. Like that. That needs to dry. That's just cerulean blue. Oh yeah, from July we've also got my mindfulness classes coming up. I've got 13th of July mindful colour mixing for an hour on a Wednesday morning. 17th of August I've got mindful tree painting, And then throughout September, I've got 4 30-minute mindfulness course that isn't art related. So that needs to dry. We'll do a bit of shading. I'm going to sneeze, hay fever. I've got the window open. No, I'm alright. I'm just going to get the hairdryer on that because of time. So the bumper's white on this Campervan, and then we've got a bit of shading, so I'll go with this grey colour that I've got here. I need to make that a bit darker, because watercolour dry is 30% lighter. Don't think I've mentioned that before. Number plates dark, and then you could use gouache if you wanted to put the writing on. I suppose the inside of the window is going to be dark. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? That the detail brush. I sold one earlier to a lady who said how much she loved how it felt in her fingers, because detail brushes are often really narrow, aren't they? They're normally the same width as the ferrule, but having it triangular, it does work beautifully. Everything else is the bottom, the wheels and everything. Paint's great. Like that, and I think I'm going to have to do a sort of dark red detail brush, Jean. They're wonderful. These come in about, they're called miniature painting brushes by Pro Arty, and they come in a 9 colours, not colours, 8 or 9 widths. I tend to favour the 1. Make an orange out of the red and the yellow as well. I tend to favour the number 1. But then in the gouache classes, I will also use, they do a 1/8 inch flat, which is that, which is perfect. But if you see, look, they've got, it's triangular shaped handle. So it fits beautifully between your finger and your thumb. Ideal for doing what we're doing. It's designed for painting miniature-y stuff. Not a lot more I'm going to do to this. I might just use some of this dirty colour and dry brush the rest of the grass. Here for texture, and maybe just a slightly darker foreground tarmac and a bit darker dry brush tarmac on there where this massive pile of grass is. So it's our free demo next Saturday, isn't it? Is it the 1st? Yes, they are perfect if you struggle to grip. But I tell you another tip. If you pop to, I don't think we've got any for sale at the moment, but if you pop to a stationer's, they'll get, you can get finger grips for pencils. They're kind of big and squishy that you just slip on a pencil. They work perfectly on paintbrushes as well. So next Saturday is the 2nd of July. And we've got a demo. Painting a rusty old boat in gouache. So that is the next thing to do. So there is the demo for today. Thank you so much for your company. It's been lovely to spend the morning with you. And I hope to see you all soon. If you do this in your own time, do share with us what we do. I'll post this up in the shop page so you can see what it looks like. I'll take a photograph of it. I might use a bit of gel pen when that dries for the number plate. So thank you so much for your company. Take care, stay safe, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.